Okay, today let's talk about Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Wow, this piece. This is arguably, besides Für Elise, perhaps Beethoven's most famous piano piece. This piece, when I was a child, I used it to recite poetry, for reciting Tang poetry. Back then, when I was in first grade, everyone had to recite poetry, and you'd pair it with your favorite music. So I used this piece and Schubert's Serenade, these two pieces, to recite poetry, and the effect was especially good. Every time I finished, everyone would say, "Wow, that was so emotional." I'd say it actually had nothing to do with me. The piece is emotional from the very beginning. You can try it. You can recite anything to it. The moment it starts, it immediately adds a filter. Right, okay, let's get to the serious stuff. This piece, it belongs to a kind of a sonata in the style of a fantasia, right? So he actually made the slow movement the first movement. Usually the first movement is an allegro or moderato. It starts with an adagio. It's a bit like Mozart's Fantasia Sonata, learning from that. But it has more of this romantic undertone, right? People often say it's about holding the hand of a girl he liked under the moonlight. How should I put it? A dream lover, let's say. And then maybe the dream lover becomes reality, that kind of feeling. Because Beethoven, as a person, he never took off his hat for the nobility. At that time, many people, it wasn't necessarily that they took off their hats for the nobility, but it was a kind of courtesy between people, like, oh, hello, and so on. And then he and Goethe, who was another great literary master in Germany, the two of them looked down on each other. And, well, Goethe had that so-called gentlemanly demeanor, tipping his hat. Beethoven famously said that many years from now, no one will remember the names of these princes. They'll only remember Beethoven's name. He was that kind of person. And it might have to do with his hearing loss. He probably didn't listen to others, right? So what is Beethoven's music? You play it and you're instantly in it. You're directly drawn into that state, no matter if it's he lived in his own world. He had no connection to the outside world. In his music, he is the most important person. Others don't matter. Right. So that's also why Beethoven's music is so pervasive and powerful, because his music is extremely personalized, right? He pushed classical music to become something that is extremely individualistic as an art form. I think although he played in the so-called court circle, it seems he had no real connection to them. With that kind of pure classical court art, it's as if he was saying, I'm different from you all. I am Beethoven. So first of all, this piece, this opening harmony, it's the foundation for so much pop music. They use it to write pop songs and so on. It's been so influential. From the moment this piece begins, you've already entered its world. It doesn't need any embellishments. Whether this piece is called Moonlight or not, it is Moonlight. Just think, his view on love is so profound. Let's put it this way. If it were a love song, I think it's too heavy. But for a sonata of that era, this piece is essentially a fantasia. It's not a very sonata-like piece. It can be practiced on its own, just as a fantasia, the Moonlight Fantasia. You could even call it that. But I really, truly think this piece is written so well, because it's also very simple, so there's nothing flashy about it. But when you play it, you get that special feeling. And this piece isn't hard to play. I can say there are a few soccer players and basketball players who play it. For example, Kobe. He often played this piece at night to find inspiration. Okay, now let's get back to the main topic and talk a bit about the key points of playing Beethoven. Beethoven's music is a comprehensive and complex entity. How should I put it? Well, sometimes it requires great love. It requires you to embrace it. It requires the performer's embrace. I don't know why, but when you play Beethoven, you always feel a little bit of distance. I'm not talking about the distance to the music, but the distance of his personality. If I were to use an animal to describe him, I'd say he's a lion. He's not someone who is particularly willing to let you get very close to him. Of course, I don't know what he was like when it came to love because everyone knows about his lover whose identity is unknown, right? That is his so called immortal love. He had a lover in his life, but to this day, no one has figured out who it was. You can all watch that movie. Yes, it's about his love story. He missed out on that, which is a very, very sad thing. So his music naturally has a certain distance to it. And because of this distance, you'll feel that his music is filled with a mysterious quality. His life is also very interesting. He started out in the classical music period called the classical period. Later on, it became the romantic period. It's called the early romantic period, the beginning of the romantic era. For example, if you listen to what he says later, I also played Beethoven's Opus 110 at concerts recently. This piece already belongs to the early romantic period. The door to romanticism has opened.